click, 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 and I just let her go. Because see, what she thought she was doing when she was checking me, I'm just sitting there reeling her in. I'm like, I'll let you go. We say this very clearly to you and to every other woman. How you leave your house is media. In this moment, yes, I cannot say what's wrong or right.
No. I don't believe that we do control any of.
Really?
No, I don't. I don't. Because I put it to you like this. The women who, or the woman that just left, she doesn't represent me as a Black woman.
Sure she does.
No, she doesn't. How does she represent? She has nothing to do with me. I don't know anyone like her.
Excuse me. Because there's something called an ethnic image. And it's what it is she is a microcosm of everything. If I told you 5'6" and knows martial arts, you wouldn't think an African. You would think Chinese. There's an ethnic image. And the ethnic image of a Black woman is the sapphire, the Nell Carter, the give me a break, the short, fat, sassy, strong, independent. That's the ethnic image. And the part that you say you don't control the media, well, what is Ebony, Essence, Madame Noir, Grapevine, Fox?
Black women don't own any of those things.
Oh, excuse me. But who's running them? Who owns them and who runs them? Who's sitting up?
Okay,
No. See, what you're going to try to do is play the ownership game. Who is sitting in the chairs on these programs?
It's white executives who make the decision.
Accountability is like kryptonite.
I'm sorry?
Accountability is like kryptonite.
Honey, I have no problem taking accountability for anything that I do. I can speak for myself.
The thing is, we're not just speaking about you, because if you speak about you, you can deflect for anything. I said Black female image, not you.
But you brought up accountability. And I'm not discrediting or taking away anything from what we do and what we perpetuate, but it's also the image that we are shown that we have no control.
No, it's not shown. Okay.
It's programmed.
Sandra Rhimes. Why do we have? She wrote Scandal. A Black woman.
She wrote Scandal, but it had to get cleared.
Hold on. No. They're going to do whatever makes money. They're going to do what they're going to. And the fact is, but who they write it for, and who consumed it?
They are the Black.
Who did they write it for, and who consumed it?
But listen to me. Black people, they're not writing for the Black. No, they're writing.
Who did they write? See, this we've already covered it. First off, that over talking me won't work. That won't work here.
Because you're throwing assumptions
at me.
That won't work here.
That won't work here.
Okay, sir.
That's one thing that won't work. We can try to have a conversation, but you cannot overtalk me. I allow that with no one. You didn't answer my question, and you're going on to another point. That's not okay. I asked you, who is it written for? Sandra Rhimes, Scandal, Love and Hip Hop, all these things. Who are they written for? What audience?
For the Black audience.
Thank you.
Okay. But again, if we are not choosing what goes on the air, because they're not finding all content for Black people, it's a certain type of content for Black people that they want to show and they want to perpetuate. And then we are watching because it's programming, and we are following.
I come from the industry, and I will tell you that I come from the advertising and marketing. So let me tell you, if Black people did not consume that product, they would not put it out there. There's a market for it.
No.
That's my response. Because see, I come from the sales world, and I also come from the advertising and marketing world. See, the bottom line is this: at 5 years old? Is that what you said? 35?
Yeah.
There was a movie called The Hollywood Shuffle, written by, who was it written by? Not Tommy Davidson. The guy that wrote 5 Heartbeats, Robert Townsend. And the whole premise of the movie was a bunch of Black stereotypes. He was mocking Blaxploitation films of the 70s. And that's the same argument that Black people made in the 70s. These are all the roles we have as pimps and maids and this and that. The whole premise of that movie was, if that's the only roles that are available, then we don't do them, because there's always work at the post office. Robert Townsend made that movie in 1989, and it stands to this day. If that's all that's written, we don't do the work. But the fact that we're willing to do the work makes us culpable, because there's always work at the post office.
Can I speak now?
Is that true or false?
Yes, that is true. And I'm not arguing that. What I'm saying is, if we don't control what the image is that goes out, because we know since the beginning of time that
We
white
do
people
control
have
it
put out
because
the
we
image.
take the roles.
There are certain people that are going to want certain things. So you're going to find everybody has a price. So certain people are going to
Not really.
to perpetuate.
Not really. Then why don't you see typical black? Why don't you typically see white A-list celebrity men having to be put in dresses?
Because it's a different standard, because they run it.
No, it's because they won't do it.
So you're saying that then white supremacy
I'm
doesn't
saying,
exist?
let me explain something to you very simply. As an image consultant, that's what I do for a living. I'm a professional image consultant. Let me say this very clearly to you and to every other woman. How you leave your house is media. If you go from your door to wherever you're going, that is the world of TV. And if you weren't walking out with long fingernails and purple hair and all this other kind of stuff, they could not make it work. And even if they did try to make it work, if they tried to go get Latinas or somebody else and dress them up like black women and make them look like stereotypical black women back in the 60s, when we didn't dress that way, they couldn't do that shit to us because we came out of our house looking better. That's why the civil rights movement worked, because they could not paint us as criminals and drug dealers. And when we were on the Edmund Pettus Bridge on Black Sunday, you saw church-going people getting abused. That's why middle white America stood up and said, those people look like me. But if they'd have been walking around, dressed around like we look today, nobody would have batted an eye.
How do you think we got here today, though? If
because we do it.
Rights movement
It's
worked,
self-accountability.
right
It
now.
is self-accountability. How many of your sisters, how many of your sisters show up to this broadcast right here with bonnets on their head?
Okay, sir, but I didn't.
I didn't say you. See,
wait,
that cannot be the argument. That cannot be the deflection. Every time I
No,
talk
it's
about
not
the group,
deflecting.
you talk
You're
about
the one-
you.
Wait, you're deflecting because every time you've sat here and you have said to me, you gave me a list of the things that you've done. You have said to me all of your points, and every time I go to talk, you either cut me off or you say I'm deflecting. What I'm saying to you is every person that you've had on the show does not account for every black woman. I did not.
Did I say it? What do you think you're doing right now? What do you think you're doing right now?
Sir,
what do you think you're doing right now?
Can you please allow me
What do you think you're doing right now?
I'm trying to speak.
What do you think you're doing right? Do you think what do you think this is doing for the image of black women?
What are you? I'm showing you something different. What you're saying?
No, you're really
black
not.
Women. Sir, you won't even let me finish my point, though. You're saying we're having a conversation. You gave me your talking points. I allowed you to speak. You said I was over talking you. I shut up and I allowed you to talk. Now I'm trying to say my points to counter what you were saying, and you're not allowing me to talk because you're talking over me. So I'm asking if you can give me the same respect that I just gave you, sir. That would be much appreciated. So back to the point of the imagery, there are 8 billion people on this planet, and there are certain people that are going to go, there are certain demographic that they shoot for, and they want to keep in that place, them being white people, white execs who run these stations, who say these are the roles that we have for black people. In order to get to a certain standard as a black man, you have to do A, B, C, and D. Otherwise, because there's a ton of actors who are amazing actors who didn't get anywhere because they wouldn't fall in line. Same with black women, the image of black women. I am not included. I am nothing like that girl. I am an educated black woman. I was married in my 20s. I have 3 children.
30 seconds.
Okay. Well, either way, I'm showing you that there is something different, is all.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
And what you just went on for 2.5 minutes was the very image that black women have been perpetuated for the longest. And I just let it go.
The angry black woman, or the
and
fact
now
that
you just cut me off.
Point.
You just cut me off now. See,
all right. So
I can sit there and hold it.
You're not gonna.
No, you're not. Well, first off, you're not in control of anything. 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 I just went for 2.5 minutes. But see, what I'm just showing is all this masculine, aggressive energy. There's a way to get your point across and still be a lady, feminine.
It's masculine energy because I'm
Well, and I will let the audience decide. Ladies and gentlemen, when you saw her going off for 2.5 minutes and this and this and this, is that the image you think that's helping black women?
Were you paying attention to anything I was saying?
I went on for you see, what you're going to do is let me speak, or I'm going to bid you a good evening.
No, well, we can say good night. Good night.
Well, you can say good night. I'm still going to say what I got to say about you. You just might want to be.
You will.
No,
have a beautiful night.
About this.
Have
you
a
might,
beautiful
I you an
night,
opportunity
sir.
to say what you want to say, but you're no different than the rest. And that's the point. The educated of them still think that they're better. No, ma'am, you are the problem too. Because all that bullshit that you ran down, the white exec and this and that, Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry built a $1 billion film industry, still on tropes about black people. Spike Lee didn't have to play the tropes. He played against the tropes. See, accountability is like kryptonite. And I'm not like these women. Oh, yes, you are. There is no other group of women that identifies with what you just saw other than African-American women. Click, 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 click. And I just let her go. Because see, what she thought she was doing when she was checking me, I'm just sitting there reeling her in. I'm like, I'll let you go. I'll let you keep digging and digging and digging. And when it got right down to it, she ran out of steam because there was all emotion, no logic, no accountability. It ain't our fault. It is our fault. Don't take the roles. Asian people stopped taking the roles of coolies and all that stuff, and they started making their own films or rejecting the films. But the notion that there's always somebody that will do it, it's still our responsibility. This is why men should be in control, because all that emotion gets nothing.
It's not